I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Arakwal people of the Bundjalung Nation, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Are you ready to win at the game of life? Well, throw out that rulebook and get down to the business of being the best and most authentic version of you. Welcome to the Human Design Podcast. We're changing the rules around success, abundance, purpose, love, and life, where we're creating a planet where everyone can thrive in a world that loves and supports each other. I'm your host, Emma Dunwoody, a qualified master coach, human design expert, podcaster, and entrepreneur that is living the life of my dreams, breaking all the rules while doing it, making a huge impact, and living my design and manifesting miracles on the daily. Join me as I break down and simplify everything you need to live in alignment with your human design, teach you how to recondition your unconscious mind for greatness, and to take back your power so you can manifest your heaven on earth and serve the rest of the planet at the same time. It's time to give up the fear and step into your highest potential, to reach for the stars, to know and live your greatness. It's what you deserve, and it's what the planet really needs from you. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. If you use human design in your business in any way, stop what you're doing because you're going to want to hear this. I want to tell you about something we use in this business that has been responsible for bringing in nearly 25,000 new leads and over 6 figures in revenue in a completely automated and passive way. It's not too good to be true, so stay tuned. That incredible thing is the BodyGraph chart software. This is the total tool that allows us to put a human design chart generated on our website so we don't have to send people to another website for their chart. The best part is we can offer our customers the information we want them to have. If you know me, you know I have a different take on human design, and I want to make sure that the language is empowering, useful, and actionable. With BodyGraph chart, we can customize everything from the reading reports, chart links, and follow-up emails to make sure that they contain the information written and curated by me, so I know each person is in good hands. As for the tech, that's totally Taylor's thing, but from what she tells me, it's super easy to use and set up, and their customer service is incredibly helpful. It's really affordable as well, especially because you get a 50% off for 1 year as a listener of this podcast. Just visit the link in the show notes and use the code HUMANDESIGNPODCAST, all lowercase. It's by far one of the biggest investments in our business and gives us powerful automation technology that allows us to focus on the bigger picture. I cannot recommend it enough. Go check out the show notes for all the details. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode. It's that time of the month, people. It's transits time. So welcome, Yvette.
Thanks for having me, as always, at this shiny end of the year as we move into the holidays.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so, I feel now that it's gone really quickly, but I was talking about something this morning, and I was back when I was in the US. Was that last year? I'm like, shit, that was June, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy how this year has been long, but also so quick.
Yeah, this year has been, as we come into December, it's been one of the worst years of my life, and also one of the best. The polarity has never been more evident, actually.
Yeah, I would say this year has been such a significant growth year. There's been so much good stuff, and all the areas in my life that I've chosen not to look at or be like, I'll get to that. They've kind of, that thing, the universe started with a tap on my shoulder and she's really ended with a slap in my face. So
she's not over.
Yeah.
It might be a kick up the bum next.
Yeah, exactly. Please, touch wood. No, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good. I would like to have no more loss this year, please.
You have had a really tough year.
I have. But it's been really, really great business year for me. So it's different. It's just different. There's moments of complete fulfillment, joy, freedom, all the things that I've been working towards, and then there's loss and grieving as well, both.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the planets, I think we should start on some of the major things going on. I know we managed to catch up in person last week and we were talking about Pluto moving into Aquarius, which I think there's some context in that maybe has created a change and signifying a bigger shift
Yeah.
in the way we navigate the world and our businesses as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I literally, the day it happened, had a really, really challenging day. And equally at the same point, I think it was challenging because my ego was really holding on to a part of myself that was ready to be let go of, to literally die.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, like it's been a big, big shift. And what is crazy for me, I actually then had a session with the most incredible energy healer here in Byron, Aisha. Go look her up, people. She's freaking amazing. She's a 3-5 reflector.
Oh, wow.
Um, and we did this, well, she did this session. I just freaking lay there. And it was like night and day. Like the
Wow.
person I was last week and the person that I,
Oh, it's brilliant.
was Monday morning, just two, like so different. So yeah, it's
That's
been
nice.
a big, big shift. And this is just the beginning. I think it's going to be amazing. I mean,
Mm,
I'm not I'm not an astrologer. That's not
same.
my area of
Yeah.
expertise, but everything that I've read, it's going to be incredibly brilliant.
Yeah, everything that I've read has given me the reassurance that the work we do in human design is almost in alignment with where the greater consciousness is shifting towards. And so in some ways, we've already been rehearsing for what's coming and it really lines up with the paradigm shift that's coming in 2027. So it feels like this is already our conscious awareness. Like we're already wanting to collaborate with more people and find ways of living our fullest expression that benefit ourselves, but also the greater good. Like it's very familiar to me. Would you
I
agree?
agree. Yeah, totally. And that authenticity piece, our uniqueness, our own kind of weirdness. I think that's a lot of what I talk about all the time, like
Yeah.
authentic success, like really
Yeah.
leaning into the authenticity and really trusting it, trusting ourselves, our own path, our own expression of life, all of it.
Absolutely. And it, I too, no astrologer over here, but I have been in my line one rabbit hole because everything that I consumed around this shift from Capricorn to Aquarius just landed and made so much sense and felt so aligned to human design and the way we've already kind of put ourselves on a path of evolution in this way. It's very similar. So I have done a lot of going deep into what does it all mean. And I think for all the listeners, you're on this journey already as well. So feel assured that aligning to your design and being your most authentic and brilliant self, it's actually in the planets
Yeah.
regardless. Like it's happening and it's happening in every ancient wisdom and the mathematical mapping of human design is just reinforcing it.
Yeah, I love that. You just made me think like it is the science of differentiation. Like that's the whole
Absolutely.
point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's been pretty major. The other thing that's going on, which if you're me, you already know well and truly about, is that we have moved into Mercury retrograde again, which we like to do every few months. I've already had a major tech mix up today, right
No.
on schedule. It's in Scorpio, which does have a bit of a sting in its tail. I'm on a group call. Zoom started flashing in the middle of my flow. I had to stop the call. I had to go try and figure out how to get rid of that. And I was with a group of human design people, so they were all having a little chuckle about the fact that day one of Mercury retrograde, well, it's day one, depending on where you are in the world. But yes, when you're listening to this, we will well and truly be into retrograde, and it's running through to the middle of December. What the kind of flavour of this Mercury retrograde is making people think twice before they make decisions. So
Ah,
there's
that
something in
sounds
that.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even if
that
you're
sounds.
sacral, maybe that's something to kind of feel into at the moment.
Yeah, well, I definitely think I'm on a path at the moment that is very, very resonant, very resonant. Like just slowing down a little bit, trying to stop rushing to the end game, actually, just taking a bit more space to reflect on things. So yeah, that sounds spot on.
Yeah, and it is like there. It's always with Scorpio energy. I kind of think there is the consequence if you don't. So it is about, okay, just that slowness that you speak of. And actually, we're soon going to be coming into gate 5, which is all about that as well. So the waiting,
Patience.
yeah. So I think that energy is around.
Yep.
The other thing that I think worth calling out about the transits are that we're still in the quarter of transmutation, so lots of change that's coming through planetary, but you're probably experiencing that already in your life, that things are happening, you're having to evolve, adjust, rethink things.
Yep.
The
I'm
other thing,
definitely on the growth superhighway at the moment.
yeah, I relate. I relate a lot. The other thing that is also true of the planets is we've had in the major planets, I'm talking about Jupiter, the North Node, the South Node, we have had the same gates in the human design system present for many months now, but there's some shifting going on in there. So we'll be talking about some fresh energy in those placements. And one final thing from an overall perspective, we talked about this a little in the last episode on the transits, is that gate 26 is having a really long stretch in Mercury. That continues, and gate 26 is also going to be coming through the Sun transit. So I think, if anything, that one gate is one that if you want to go and spend some time on learning more about and how that affects you, this energy is going to be almost around you, regardless of whether you have this gate or not, for much of from now into December.
Okay, good to know.
Good to know.
26. 26, it's the egoist, right?
It's in the will center.
Yeah, it's the one
It,
that to the 20th to the 44.
it is, yes.
Yeah,
So,
it's the sales, it's like the sales
yeah,
closer.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
I think, I mentioned this briefly last month, that this 26 is about creating amazing offers and products and service, and being really in integrity with how you promote those, so that ultimately you make more sales, but it comes from a place of sales with a lot of integrity.
Oh, I love that. So good.
Yeah, so very timely. I think this end of the year, there's a lot of shopping, there's a lot of movement, people making decisions before maybe they take time off. And so it is an opportune time for you to really explore this and how that can play a role in business and marketing as well.
Cool. Love it.
Cool. So let's look back at November before we get into the month ahead. So from an overarching perspective, there's been a lot of sacral energy coming through. Before that, we were kind of more in the splenic center. So I don't know about you, but I've definitely felt more energized, more fired up, if anything. A lot of action kind of oriented energy coming through. We've had really prominent, strong, powerful gates like the 14. We're currently in the 34. We're moving into gate 9. So you can really feel that November, and I know I shared this, but we're kind of just before Black Friday as we record this. It feels very aligned with the kind of intensity that's going on in the marketplace, shall we say?
Yeah.
In terms of the energy that we've been sitting in. Any response to that from you?
Yeah, look, I agree. Funnily enough, I have been consciously trying to slow down because I
Yeah.
was so aware that I was just doing so much and just really in my doing. Um, but yeah, I feel like it definitely, I'm at that point, so much is resonating. Like so much of what you're saying is resonating. I'm just in this place in time where I want to definitely get the things done that I want to get done so that I can move on to the new year. So, yeah, totally resonates.
You have an open route.
I do.
This is like classic open route comment.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I'm feeling it right now. I'm
Yeah.
so actually I had to pull myself up. We were just talking before we hit record. I had to pull myself up because I was so much in the shadow of my root center last week. I was trying so hard just to get something done, like trying to force it so that it could be done.
Yeah.
And gratefully, God, I just love the universe. Like serendipity stepped in, and a book kind of came across my awareness, and that completely changed the direction that I was going in. And
Wow.
then I had a conversation, and that changed everything. And
Yeah.
then I had a few days just to cool off, and I was like, well, that's changed everything. So,
Oh,
so yeah, I think
yeah.
yes, it's definitely as my root center. Like I definitely have that old habit of just trying to force stuff to be done to get it done.
Yeah, and it's so funny talking to you. Also, open route over here, and I am leaving the country in about 10 days' time, and so I too am like, go, 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 go. But in a like, I just want everything in place before I go away kind of energy.
Yeah,
So it's the same. It's exactly the same as what you're expressing. I've just got an even tighter deadline.
yeah,
Um, so it's interesting. It's kind of being reflected back from both of us in what's coming up, and probably
yeah.
a lot of others as well. Like whether you have an open route or you have a defined route, this time of year does bring that up for you because it's this sense of completion. It's this
Yeah.
we're moving to the end of a cycle, and therefore many of us will take some time out and we want to complete effectively. So yeah, it's not surprising that we're feeling a lot of that as well.
Yeah. Well
Mm.
said.
Yes. So that is what's been happening in the Sun transit. The other thing which I touched on is that Gate 26 is right now in the Mercury transit. It comes out briefly to go into Gate 11 for over the next few days, which I think is really interesting. I'm always thinking about transits from a marketing perspective. So what's happening over the next few days is the Sun transit goes into Gate 9. So that is really about details and focus. And at the same time, Mercury goes into Gate 11, which is ideas. And so this is really making me think, okay, I'm actually doing a Black Friday series of offers. Like I need to shift the way I'm thinking about selling these offers to be more about the details and try and think of fresh ways of doing it that, really are more creative amongst what is sea of the same out there. So it's just interesting to me how the transits are playing into this and how we can take advantage of some of this energy to get us to think differently and not just keep spinning. So that's happening.
Oh my God, I love that. That's so good.
It's awesome, isn't it? It just helps me and so many
Yeah.
others. So
Well,
good.
I've got like my brain is like tick, tick, tick. Okay, I know exactly how I'm going to use that. Thank
You
you.
know, you know exactly what this is leading you to respond with.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, and I'm literally in this as well. And then we're going to go back to the 26th for a few more days in the Mercury transit at the end of the month as well. So, as I said, 26 is around a lot, which as business owners is something I think we can all get on board with. And then let's explore December. Let's move into beautiful December. As I said earlier, there are some movements in the major planets that we explore. So Jupiter has been in the 45 for months and months, I think for 3 or 4 months, which is a very collective kind of energy. It does speak to money and abundance, but it's more for the greater good than for self necessarily. We're moving into the 35. So at 35, I think of this one as just change, more of that. But, with Jupiter being about buoyancy, abundance, where our gifts are, accepting, I think that all of this change is actually leading to more prosperity, I think would be a
Yeah.
healthy thing to understand.
Yeah. And I think the 35 as well is like it's the ultimate human experience. It's the end
Yeah.
of the sensing circuit. It is all about like people who have the 35 tend to be like wise travelers. And that could be actual world travelers or metaphysical
Mm.
or,
Does
metaphorical
that mean that
travelers.
going traveling is perfectly aligned and going to be
Yeah,
important to my business?
absolutely. Absolutely. Because the 35 very much is about that. It's
Yeah,
about human experience and,
amazing.
culminating in the emotional human experience and the sharing, because it's in the throat, like sharing the stories of human experience.
Mm. That's just beautiful. I love
So
that.
good. I
Yeah.
love the 35. It's one of my bridge gates.
Yeah, and it's going to be obviously gates stay quite a long time in Jupiter, so it's going to be some background energy as we go through the next couple of months where people are more likely to be out in experiences. And that's true no matter where you are in the world.
Yeah.
Whether that's you're in a cold climate and you're on skiing adventures, there's, no matter what religion you are, there's lots of, I think,
Festivities.
lots of things going on in that way as well. So time with friends and family is going to be all
I'm so
happening.
looking forward to just like lying on the beach, baby. Like I am staycationing my ass off this
Oh, that'll
Christmas.
be good. And I'm
Yeah.
doing like the major
Freezing.
opposite. Yeah,
Yeah.
skiing in Austria and Christmas in the south of France. I will be cold, but I'm also heading to Bali again on both directions. So please don't feel too sorry for me.
I don't feel sorry for you because you're in the south of France and Austria. So seriously, you get to wear
I'll
some
be
cool
sharing my
clothes.
experiences of spending a lot of time with my close family. That as
Yeah.
well.
So good.
Yeah. So that's going on. Saturn is continuing. So Saturn's still staying in the 63 gate of
Mm-hmm.
inquiry, let's call it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that when doubt is coming up, that is a constant lesson that we've been having over the last few months sitting in Saturn there. It won't be moving on till the end of Jan.
Mm-hmm.
The nodes are moving, and they've been in the 18 and the 17, 18 in the south node, 17 in the north node for months. So we're moving into the north node being in the 25, very nurturing, healing kind of energy, and the south node being in 46, which has a much stronger feel to it. So that's kind of quite a significant change around, what is in us, which is this determination and wanting to push forward, but also recognizing that it's when we're more innocent, when we're in a place of nurture and trust that things are going to work better for us. And that's the evolved energy in this season.
Oh, I love it. So
Mm.
good.
Mm. Very aligned to what you were just sharing about kind of slowing down. It's like you already got
Yeah.
that pushing.
Yeah. And I think also, like you were saying, the 25, I'm like, that one of the things that I'm really conscious of, aware of right now is deepening my connection to source, to spirit. So I was like, that tracks.
Absolutely tracks. Right on
Yeah.
schedule, as
Yeah.
as always.
Nailing it.
55 doing nothing much going on. We had a few months where the only place that 55 is showing up is briefly in the moon transit. So that's going to happen again. Every month we see the every gate go through the moon, by the way. So they're all there for a few hours at various times. It's happening on the 7th to the 8th, just FYI.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the major planets for December. So now we're going to get into the sun and what you will probably be more aware of from a more conscious perspective over the coming month. So we spoke about this briefly about the gate 9 that is in the sun transit. As we record this, we're about to move into gate 9. So we've been in the 34, we're coming into the gate 9, known as Taming Power of the Small. This is a sacral gate and it connects to the root center. So it's quite an active feeling kind of gate. It comes with an energy of being really intentional and putting your focus on the right things to make a material difference. Yeah?
Yeah. Well, it's my design sun.
So something
Um,
you've explored a lot.
yeah. And I think it's a time where, so one of the lessons I learned with the 9 for myself was when I first sort of discovered it, I'm like, God, I wouldn't call myself a focused person. Like I can be, But, I think at that time I was more identified with my emotional authority, my MG, my line
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
But the thing I would say is you want to pay attention to what you focus on easily.
Yeah.
Because that was the lesson for me, is it wasn't that I'm a person that can focus on something forever. It's that when I focus on something, I am an immovable force. Like
Yeah. You
when
make
the right
magic.
thing, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's like pay attention to
Yeah.
what you want to focus your energy on.
Ooh, yes. That's so powerful. And so hard because quite
Oh, don't
often we
even.
want to focus on quite the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I think it's this big lesson, and as I keep saying, I'm learning at a new level, is again like trusting our design, like trusting our strategy and authority, trusting that we've got energy to focus on something instead of overriding it with the mind, instead of thinking that we can control something, or thinking that, oh, we're in the 9, so I must focus on blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. Like, no, like listen to your body, like listen to your biofeedback, your energetic feedback. Because for me and the 9, like it's simple. Like, I don't do anything. It locks on and that's it. We're away.
Yeah. What great insight to just be more aware of where you're focusing your attention, be more intentional with your focus without a whole lot of hanging on. And that's how the magic happens.
Yep.
Amazing. So that is going to stay in the transit for the first few days of December. Then from the 3rd to the 8th, we move into another very prominent gate in your chart, which is gate 5. Another sacral gate. This one connects to the G center. Funny story about this one. If you listen to this regularly, you likely know I have a transit series on YouTube. And so it's a new video for every gate. And in this gate, I use Emma as an example of somebody who has a lot of gate 5 energy, who has learnt that it's about being consistent and trusting the process, that consistency will ultimately compound, showing some patience, recognizing patterns, like that's all in here. And I think the reason I shared a case study of someone like this in this episode and used Emma as a reference is because I have witnessed her absolutely do this to the most incredible outcome, this consistency of showing up, even when things felt like, oh my God, I want to quit.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I do think it's one of my real superpowers, is just that ability to show up even when I don't want to show up, and these days I do it with such greater alignment. But you know what? I'm going to say that's probably a gift that I got from having anxiety. I had a rule with myself when I had really bad like panic disorder. And my only rule, my only thing was just stay in the room, Emma. Just stay in the room. So I think it's very ingrained in me, that this, like, I'm just going to stay in the room. Like, even if I think I can't handle it, or I don't have what I need, or I want to run screaming, like, just
Wow.
stay in the room. And that's, and speaking of the 5, it's definitely like my daily routines. It's my daily structures. And to be honest, it's probably the ones that I don't think are as important that actually are,
Yeah.
that helps me with that, like it really gives me the security, or not the security, it just gives me the confidence, or the whatever it is, because those consistent patterns, those consistent routines
Yeah.
have just been such a massive support for my growth.
Absolutely.
This podcast.
Can you give us just a few examples? Because I know a few of the things that you do every single day, but I think that's really valuable for those of us who are looking to be more self-led.
Well, yeah, great question. So even the one that I just said, like my podcast has been a great, like, yeah, you just have to show up. And my energy does work better when I show up every week than batching things. So that's kind of been a discipline that I've had to have.
Yeah.
But it's also things like my health and well-being. So I go to bed at the same time, I get up at the same time, I meditate, I exercise, I go to the gym.
Yeah.
Like I haven't missed a gym session. I think I've missed 2 gym sessions in 3 years. Like I just don't do it. Like once I commit to something,
Yeah.
I just turn up. And I've turned up there being, unwell, or I've hurt myself, or emotionally just drained, and we'll
Yeah.
just do a mobility session. But
Yeah.
I've just learned that whole just turn up, stick to your
Mm.
commitments, because when you demonstrate commitment to the universe, then for me, I feel like you receive so much in return.
Wow. So that's very inspirational, I think, for everybody, that the external success that we see in others is built on behavior that is maybe less obvious, but consistent and over a long period of time. And that's what brings ultimates. I don't know if it's success, results, but meeting your desires, I would say, having been a part of Emma's life for many, many years.
Yeah, I certainly do not. I don't, even though I feel like an inconsistent energy, I'm not.
No, you're not at all.
I just show up, and even my personality, what you see is what you get. It's
Yeah.
very consistent. The person here is the same person you meet in person.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. So everybody listening, more consistency, please. And yes, we're going to be feeling that coming through in early December. That is followed from the 9th to the 14th of the month with the sun in gate 26. So as I said, this energy is around a lot. Fun fact, this is the moment, I think I mentioned it last month, but I'll give it to you again, when this energy was in, that I decided to build a new product of all of my free programs and things. And I was working with this gate 26 energy, and I'm like, I need to sell something that is such amazing value that I think everybody would be crazy not to have. And I used AI, which I have a love-hate relationship with, by the way, to help me turn all of this free stuff that I'd created about human design and marketing into a $55 product. And I did it in about 5 hours using AI to write the sales page, the emails, everything. And a year later, I've sold 130 of those.
Wow.
I know. And it was all because of working with this energy of gate 26. So I thought that's a really great expression of it.
I love that. So when does that go into the sun again? Just remind me of that.
It goes from the 9th to the 14th.
Okay.
But it's around already because of Mercury.
Yeah. Love it.
Awesome. Then we follow that from the 15th to the 19th. We move into gate 11. Now, this one is we've just been in the wheel center, with the 26. So we've done sacral, 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 lots of sacral, moved into the wheel center with the 26. And now we're into the ajna. So much more intellectually based energy.
Mental. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is the gate of ideas. No matter which way you spin it, it's really about lots of ideas, creative thinking, coming up with new ways of doing things. So that's a time when you may feel that. You may feel like, oh my God, I'm getting all these downloads. Like things are just, wow. So take advantage of that. I think that's an amazing business energy.
Yeah, I love that. And it's also it could be a really hectic time of the year, but
It is, yeah.
if you're I know for me, I have, taken off most of December. So it could be a really, really creative time. Really creative time.
Yeah, and I think there's more stimulation that is non-business in these times, which actually promotes different ways of thinking.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. This is the time that we play, we have fun, we rest, we recover, we, celebrate with our family and friends. We have, a lot of connection, a lot of self-nurturing. So I think I totally agree. When we're doing that, that's when some of the best business ideas come through.
Definitely. I'll be on the ski fields when that's happening.
Oh my God. You're an epic skier too, aren't you?
I'm pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, people, if you don't know, she's a family full of Olympians.
Yeah.
They're world-class.
There's definitely sport in my DNA.
Yeah, definitely. They're all freaking rock stars.
Yeah, they are. And that's who I'll be skiing with. So
yeah,
there will be a lot of adventure.
Yeah.
And a lot of ideas flowing for sure.
Exactly.
Then after that, coming up to, for those of us who celebrate Christmas, we're coming up to the next gate, which is from the 20th to the 25th, is gate 10. Beautiful energy, so much about the self and being your most authentic self-love even, your own behavior, being kind of steward to that.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like the sign of, okay, now we slow down a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think it's all the love of the self always kind of reminds me, because it's this really, they call it aura busting energy. And when you have it in, I mean, if you have it activated, but it's, even if you, especially if you have it in a channel, like, it's just this energy that people will fall in line with your behavior, because
Yeah.
when your behavior comes from the heart, people can't help but follow it. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of coming up to Christmas, like when we're all connected to our heart and falling into that heart-led behavior, like, and individually the love of the self, but
Yeah.
when we're all in that together, like, I don't know, it feels cool.
Yeah, it's a nice energy around that time of year, I think. Just because I didn't mention this, it's in the G Center, but connection-wise, it's part of the integration circuit. So it's connected to multiple centers, the sacral, the throat, the spleen. I think that's all of them.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but so it's a pretty strong energy, if you like, because of that, I think, and also the essence that it brings as well. So
Yeah.
great time to take care of yourself.
Yeah. Sign me up.
Really start leaning out of maybe the hustle and into self-care.
Yeah.
And then straight after that, we're going to move into uplifting gate 58, gate of the joyous.
Yay.
Hanging out with your family, maybe enjoying being with others, like doing things that feel really good in your mind, body, and soul, looking for fulfillment, I think, in the way that you move through the world. Great time of year for that.
I love the gate of the joyous as well, because it's all about moving life towards joy,
Yeah.
And I think it's also that time of year where we feel really loved up, and we maybe think, positively about the future, and, how we can experience more joy in our lives. And maybe that's a time where, I don't know about you, I kind of do quite a bit of dreaming around
Yeah, for
Christmas, New
sure.
Year.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a beautiful energy to be swimming in that
Yeah,
time of year.
and I think many of us set our intentions for the following year, whatever that looks like for you, and take that time to really reflect. And what you said about moving towards what is more joyous for you, or what an amazing thing to consider as you're doing that.
Yeah, so true. Love it.
Yeah, and then of course, as we go into the new year itself, we get all fired up. We have gate 38. That is more of that right now. This is how I interpret it. Now that I've really felt into what I truly desire, how I can be more fulfilled, joyous in the decisions I make, it's like, okay, now what's worth fighting for here? What am I actually going to really go after? What am I going to anchor determination into as we get into the first week of the new year? This is a root center gate connected to the spleen. I can see that it can feel like a bit jarring, but I actually think this is more about determination and having a really powerful vision, and allowing that kind of newness of the new year to set the tone of, okay, what am I really doing this year?
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so cool. And it's also, I think, once the rubber hits the road, I think oftentimes, I know for me, we're doing planning now, but often we'll get to January and revisit everything,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, yeah, nah,
Yeah.
not that. Let's really double down on that.
Yeah.
So I totally agree. I think it's that time where, and I always remember, this gate is the warrior of light.
The warrior of
And
light. I
yeah,
love
it's the warrior of light. And then,
how.
so, and you know what? I don't know where I read it from. It might be the Gene Keys, it might be something else, but it's one of the warrior gates. And the 39 is another warrior gate. And I always remember this one actually because Alison Charles has this in her personality, Sun, and it's shamanistic. It's a very shamanistic, very connected to animals. And, human design will often kind of have us think, oh, it's the gate of the fighter. But there's just such depth in there for connection to all these other realms. And so there's so much power
Kind
in
of love
that
that
gate.
expression, the warrior of light. Bring that on.
Yes, sign me up.
Love
Yep.
it. So that is our solar transit. Looking at Mercury, it's an unusual one because we are in retrograde for the first half of the month. So what always happens is we end up going over and over the same energies. So it's really good to call this out, that there are only a few energies around communication to really be aware of in December. So the 26th is the first one. It stays in Mercury until the 4th, and it also comes back at the end of the month for a couple of days. So that's the first energy that's going to be around in conversation. And it kind of lines up with the very beginning of the month when you're maybe still coming off the back of Black Friday, for instance. And then at the very end of the month, which is if you're doing anything like end of the year kind of sales, because it's the 30th and the 31st of December that it comes back through. Then in the center of the month, we have gate 5. So this is like being consistent in your communications, not necessarily in your business, but being consistent and keeping showing up and saying the same things and not backing down is how I would interpret that. That is present from the 5th to the 8th, and then again from the 25th to the 29th. So coming up in early December and then just after Christmas, another need for consistency in your communications. And then there's this really long stretch from the 9th to the 24th where we're in gate 9. So only focusing on what's actually important is how I would frame that up. And having conversations where you're being very intentional and putting your attention on the right things versus the wrong things.
I love that. That is great.
Yeah, so it just really makes it very simple having fewer energies there, but I think you can really work to understand the links between how the end of the year will feel for you and putting your attention, just like Gate 9 says to, on the right things at the right time to have more ease in life.
Oh my God, I feel like it's so spot on, and it's absolutely on the money of stuff that I'm working on.
Wow.
Which I'm excited to share all these stories, like once I'm further down the path of like healing and, actually finding out the end result, and all these sort of things.
Sharing from the scar and not the scab.
Exactly. And I'm an emotional authority, like what you think one day is not what you think the next day, and then the day after that is something different. Time.
Wait. Well, that wraps us up for December. I hope everybody listening has taken away something to support them through this beautiful time of year. I, for one, will be ready for 2024 to be over in many ways, but also enjoying a lot of the wrap up.
Yeah, love that. So, well, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Super excited for December, huh? I do feel like there's a lot of things that are going to be closed out and finished up, and hopefully we all get into Christmas feeling really, ready. That's done. Let's have a break before we get into the new.
Let's enjoy the gate 10 energy coming through the sun, and let's love on ourselves and the others that we love.
Sounds freaking epic. All right, humans. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks so much, Yvette. I trust that everyone got what they needed from today's episode, and I so look forward to having you on the next one. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone, for being here all the way to the end of the podcast. I hope you got lots of value out of it. I certainly had a lot of fun doing it. Could I please ask that you share this podcast with friends if you found it valuable? And also, bonus points, could you leave a review for me as well on Apple? It would be greatly appreciated. If at any point you would like to be on the podcast, or you've got questions that you'd like me to discuss on the podcast, by all means get on my socials and DM me. Everything you need is there in the show notes. Have an awesome day. Bye for now.